And welcome back, everybody. You can hear the beeps just in time, just at the very end of the duct tape. We have our players, we have our lobbies, the vetoes are done, and we are diving into our second series of the night, the quarterfinals. A bit of a PvZ, also a bit of a team kill. Let's go. So I hope, hey, yo, I know this is gonna be worth the wait because spawning in the top left hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have El Mexicano himself, the blue Protoss player hailing from the land of Mexico and representing Team Super. It is Pacomike. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the best player in all of Bolivia. We have the red Zerg player also representing Team Super. It is RyoGin. Oh boy, here we go, RyoGin. What do you have to offer here? How are you going to take down someone of the caliber of Pacomike? Again, Pacomike, he is a champion. He was dubbed the Cham Killer back in the day as well. Has some of the best PvZ here in Latinoamérica. Me acabo de levantar de me siento entumido. No! What? Okay. So Pacomike is letting us know that he basically just got up. But isn't it the evening in Latin America right now? Isn't it like, I say evening, like 6 p.m.? 7 p.m.? Paco. Shaking my head. So hopefully Pacomike is able to wake up in time for this series and you know, actually be present here and not go on autopilot, as can tend to happen if you wake up if you don't have enough sleep. But we shall see. So far, a little bit of probe micro hero just being a little bit annoying against the mineral line. Oh god, this can be so frustrating as a player, regardless of race. Having to deal with a pesky probe like this. Of course, he can regen his HP, does get one drone to half of that HP, but yeah, Pacomike shouldn't get a kill here. He shouldn't. He shouldn't. Oh god. Don't do it. He's coming back. He's coming back. Oh my god. One tase away from going down. Pacomike, he rotates back around. He wants it so badly, but he can't be baited into the mineral line. If he does, he will get surrounded. In the end, he will back the hell up. RyoGin keeps his drone alive. Oh my god. That poor worker. Pacomike, leave them alone. At the same time, he rotates around, heads towards the third base, sees the drone back up, sees it go back again, looks to want to try and get a pylon block off, but there are lings here. In the end, RyoGin should be able to keep this up. Oh, just gets delayed by a second or two. Pacomike, his workers are ruthless. It's disgusting. It's we don't want to see it. Not today, papi, not today. Meanwhile, he comes across the map with his adept. We do see back at home a pretty standard opener. This is scouted by RyoGin. It is going to be a Stargate opener. Nothing too crazy. He also gets a Ling in as well, so he's going to be able to get a full scout off. Going to confirm the first unit that comes out of this Stargate, which I imagine is going to be an Oracle, but we'll see what Pacomike has in store for us. Ling, likewise, going to reciprocate the damage. Going to be a little bit annoying. Ooh, gets surrounded, though. The probes do deal with that Ling, and the Oracle is coming out. Quickly checking the vision of RyoGin. He did just barely see it before the Ling went down. Meanwhile, across the map, oh, we do see that it's being very annoying. Nice micro so far here by RyoGin, keeping his drones alive just barely, minimizing his losses. Quickly looking at the units lost tab. He's only lost a single drone so far, and the Ling's going to be able to clean up this adept. Oof. Only one adept remaining, and this is pretty huge because with only one adept, you cannot one-shot workers anymore. It is a two-shot, so you now have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more leeway to deal with this. Meanwhile, the adept rocks up, and can he get one? Ooh, does get one. Almost two. So 2 drones go down for 2 adepts. I would say acceptable losses here for the Zerg player. It's all good. It is all fine. It's all good in the hood. Meanwhile, the Oracle comes across the map. No Spore here, being a little bit greedy. Only a single queen, so the Oracle just dives in anyway. RyoGin, you scouted the opener. This is unacceptable damage. 6 drones go down. 7? Oh. Almost 8 in the end. 7 drones go down for a single Oracle. Meanwhile, across the map, the Lings, they run in. The wall is not a wall. That secondary wall is a little bit too late. He gets a full surround on the pylon, but he doesn't go for it. Second Oracle is going to be able to defend in the end. The punish isn't real. I mean, at least RyoGin gets a full scout up, and this is pretty important. He sees the Twilight Council, he sees the Forge, he also confirms the gas count. This should be for +1, this should be for Blink Stalkers, but the gases, okay. I was like, the gases at the natural haven't been saturated, but there we go. We see the workers on the way as well, and RyoGin is not stopping. Oh my god, he has stopped drones is what I should say. The Lings, they flood across the map. RyoGin is done droning up. He once hit a timing here off of 32 workers. Interesting. Off of 1 gas as well. He took a second gas in his natural, but he didn't saturate it. We'll see how hard this can hit. The problem with this, oh my god, the Lings, they get in again? Question mark? How does he do it? The Lings, they get into the main base, wreaking a little bit of havoc. What I'm worried about is the Void Rays. We have 1 Void Ray out. He's going into charge, not Blink Stalkers. Roaches can do a lot of damage, but of course they don't shoot up. We don't have any Ravagers either. Pacomike being a little bit greedy, going for a 3rd base. RyoGin, though, he can't waste his time with the 3rd. He has to break through the natural. Here we go. A couple of Ravagers are on the way. The Roach is going to be able to bust on through this Adept. They can get on top of the pylon. It's an Artosis pylon. Go for it, puppy. Go for it. Yo, and he will. 2 of the production buildings, 3 of the production buildings are going to be going down just like that. Files don't really impact things too much here. 1 of the pylons will finish up, but right now he wants worker damage. He wants both. Pylon does fall in the end, and now here we go. The Roaches are waddling into the main base. So far, Pacomike has kept a lot of his workers alive, but for how much longer? The pylon goes down. 0 gateways are powered right now. There is no production. There are no warp-ins. The Void Ray is doing whatever he can, but the Roaches, there are just too many of them. Oh my god, and the Ling Flood continues. The wall is a wall right now, but the Cyber Core is under threat. To be fair, we don't really care about that. We're going to charge. We're going into Zealots, but at the same time, the production is going down. The Lings, they flooded again. And RyoGin is doing it. Oh my god, you know what? RyoGin, he hears that Pacomike still hasn't woken up. He hears that he just woke up just before this series, and he's like, all right, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go for a 32 worker all-in. GG. And I was really worried. Like, I'm always worried about these roach-based all-ins against Stargate openers. Why? Because if it gets scattered early, then we just make Void Rays and non-stop Void Rays. Pacomike did make 1 for safety, but he never saw the army coming. Why? Because of the Ling harass. The Lings forced the Oracles back home. They were stuck at home trying to deal with all the Lings that were getting to the main base, getting to the natural. They weren't across the map scouting. He wasn't able to see the drone count. He saw that there was a 3rd base, but he didn't see that it wasn't saturated. He didn't see that the natural wasn't saturated either. I'm sure he was feeling pretty good about killing all those workers. I'm sure Pacomike was feeling really good about killing all those drones, right? Like crippling the economy, but the economy was never something that RyoGin was too focused on. So yeah, GG, well played. Very well played there by RyoGin, and with that he takes the lead in the series. Again, coming in here as the underdog. Both players are GM, you know, both are like 5.4k plus. But Pacomike is the more established name in the scene. There's a reason why we saw an all-in and we didn't see like a more straight up macro game in the mid game timing or even the late game. But we'll see how this ends. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Mexican Protoss player himself, representing Team Super, currently down in this series after getting all in. It is Pacomike. And spawning in the top right hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Bolivian Zerg player himself, currently up in this series. It is RyoGin. Yo, I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked that he is ahead in this series. He only needs 1 more to close it out. Can he do it though? Again, I'm sure Pacomike is going to be a little bit more wise to what RyoGin is doing. I'm sure he's going to be a little bit more on top of scouting. I hope so anyway. Like, again, Pacomike, he was just a little bit slow to respond here. There were a couple of moments where he was trying to wall off behind the Adept. He was trying to make sure his natural base was safe and sound. But yeah, a couple of seconds is all it takes in a game like StarCraft. You cannot slip up like that. Oof. Alright, well, here we go. So far, a bit of a probe scout, nothing too crazy. RyoGin is going for a hatch gas pool opener, very standard, very macro oriented, at least in the early game. No early pool timings, whether it's a 12, 14, or 16 pool. And this time Pacomike not being as aggressive with his probe. We saw last game he almost tased the drone to death. This time being a little bit more conservative. He doesn't want to waste any APM microing his worker. He's like, okay, you know what? I'm down in this series. I have to take this a little bit more seriously. Let's just make sure that I have my opener crisp, safe, and sound. And I'm also curious as to why the probe is just chilling here. I guess he's waiting to, he's keeping an eye on whether or not lings are being banked up in the main base, especially now that the spawning pool is done. But yeah, a little bit odd, a little bit unnecessary. Hopefully Pacomike does rotate towards the third base at some point to try and deny it. We'll see. For now, I guess just keeping an eye on how many lings do end up coming out of these eggs. Let's confirm the first two, and as a result, the probe is going to go down. Again, I don't feel like it's the best use of the probe, but, you know, Pacomike, you do you, mate. Third base is going to be thrown down here relatively early, you know, 28 supply third instead of the typical 30 or sometimes even 32. Meanwhile, RyoGin is going across the map. The wall isn't a wall, so he's going to get a free scout off. The slowlings do slip on in, and he's going to confirm that once again we do have a Stargate opener. He should be able to keep these lings alive and try and get a full scout off on what the unit is. Doesn't get surrounded this time either. So far, good control here by RyoGin. There we go, you can rotate around, and this time Pacomike is mixing things up a little bit here. We have a Void Ray first, not an Oracle. So a little bit more concerned with clearing out overlords, less concerned with dealing damage across the map. This is also like a relatively safer opener as well. Again, Void Rays are just so solid defensively, whether it's against lings, whether it's against roaches. Even gets a second pylon here at the natural. Pacomike a little bit paranoid, it looks. Interesting. Meanwhile, once again, we have the transition into a Twilight Council and a Forge. We saw that last game Pacomike wanted to go into charge lots, but he just wasn't able to, so it's possible that he's going to try and do so again. I say try because he's still taking all of his gases, so I'm a little bit perplexed as to what this is going to be. Should be charged though, right? Either that or Blink Stalkers, but going Void Ray to Blink Stalkers isn't the most common thing, to be honest. Here we go, a couple of Void Rays getting sniped in the middle of the map. Ooh, supply blocking RyoGin. The rest of his overlords are trying to come back home, but they're a little bit too far out. These should have been brought home earlier. This is a mistake here by RyoGin. Like, he saw the Void Ray as it was being built. That is your cue to bring all of this back, and he's being punished for this. 3 overlords are in production. Ay. And 3 overlords almost go down. 2 in the end, not enough energy for transfuse. No, the overlord, not like this. Ugh. 3 overlord kills for 1 void ray, already worth it here for Pacomike. Meanwhile, there are those zealots. Charge is on the way, +1. We have the gateway explosion as well. And all this gas is being used well, you know, not just with the upgrades. We also have the warp prism to just go across the map and essentially go for a charge all in. So seeing these 4 zealots is a massive tell. You never warp in zealots defensively like this. So RyoGin should already be aware of what's happening. Like, this is very suspect. And back at home, we have the safety Roach Warren, which makes sense. He's taking his 2nd gas. I'd love to see a 3rd gas as well. I'm worried that RyoGin is maybe joining up too much. We're up to 48 workers. 50 workers is typically what we want to max out on. More than that is very greedy and very risky, unless Pacomike expands. Looks like he's setting himself up for a 3rd base. Zealots have been spotted. Lings are keeping an eye on things. And is he going to check the 3rd? Doesn't check the 3rd yet. Doesn't see the worker in position. Instead, he goes to the Adept, and he's going to be able to get it. Up. Does get the Adept in the end. Can go into the main base, but does get cleaned up. At least he forces the Warp Prism back home for a moment. Meanwhile, oh my god, I don't see this often enough. An Evo wall? Wow, I think that's a full wall as well. So busting on through, this is actually going to buy a lot of time for RyoGin. I love this. Oh my god. Void Rays rock up, but Yeah, the Sim City is just too good. Pacomike, he has to rotate around. Behind this, there was a Templar Archive, so we are seeing Charge of Archon as the overall composition. Pushing up this ramp is a hard thing to do. We don't want to do it. He's going to try and force his way up, but there is an army ready and waiting. Meanwhile, Pacomike is trying to get a warp in here across the map as well. The files are connecting. Nice well pick up there by Pacomike. Keeps the Archons alive. But again, pushing up this ramp is never what you want to be doing. Pacomike, please. Oh, but he's doing it anyway. Here we go with the reinforcements. He's actually breaking through transfuse, but we do see a couple of transfuses, but Pacomike just has too much. RyoGin, he's not spending his money right now. Look at the mineral bank. He's too focused on making roaches. We need lings. We have 1k minerals. No. This is why I wanted an earlier third gas, by the way. We needed more gas if we really wanted to make these roaches work. Yeah, not quite the economy that RyoGin needed. A little bit of a slip up, and now the roach all in, sorry, the zealot all in is working. GG gets called. Pacomike takes game 2. Oh my god, it was almost perfect there by RyoGin. Almost perfect. I love the Sim City. I loved his positioning, but he just couldn't spend his money. He had the larva, he was injecting, just didn't have any gas, which is okay. Like, hey, if we don't have gas, we need lings at least. We need something. But RyoGin was just a little bit too focused on the engagement, wasn't looking too much at his resources. Oof. Now we go to the ace match. Oh boy. And I would love to see how this story concludes, how this story ends. I did just get confirmation that the upper semis is ready for us. I hope they're okay with us finishing up the series. I mean, these games are relatively short anyway. I don't want to hold up players too long. I may have to jump over. We'll see. We'll see. Regardless, the upper semis is going to be our next series that we do cover here on the CranKy Ducklings. It is going to be Master versus Ryu. No surprises there, to be honest. And here we go. Game 3, the ace match. Where are we going to go? Again, like, RyoGin, if you had just noticed, like, his income or his resources, maybe even his gas geyser in his natural that never got saturated, I do think that he would have been able to hold there. I don't know if win is, I think win is too strong of a phrase. Like, I don't think he would have won, but the game would have continued and we would have seen a different game there. Oof. But alas, that is not this world. We are here in the ace match, game number 3, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Pride of Altatis LE, we have the Mexican Protoss player himself. He is blue, representing Team Super, and tying us up, bringing us to the ace match. It is Pacomike. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Pride of Altatis LE, we have the best player in all of Bolivia, representing Team Super. It is RyoGin. Making a critical error in the last game. Hopefully he can tie some things up here. He knew that a charge all-in was coming. He was preparing for it, but alas, couldn't prepare in the end. Pacomike just relentless with his execution, and we'll see if he does it again. You know, we did see that charge kind of style. He wanted to try and do it both in game 1 and in game 2. Are we going to see it again in game 3? It's possible. It's possible. So far, hatch gas pool from RyoGin, standard openers all around here, nothing crazy. We are on Pride of Altaris, and of course the goal base could come into play at some point. It can be really difficult to pull off though in this matchup, just because of Oracles and Adepts. The harassment options for the Protoss, as well as the Zerg, are just a little bit too good. So taking that early gold base in this matchup is almost impossible. Meanwhile, we do see Pacomike with the confidence again, back to his old shenanigans, trying to be a little bit annoying here. Does get one of these workers to half HP, risks it by going through the mineral line, but doesn't get surrounded by RyoGin. And in the end, Pacomike is forced back. Again, only 2 HP left. Oh, Jesus Christ. Only 2 HP. Gonna have to back the hell up. Looks like he wants to stick around to just confirm whether Lings come out. Maybe he's gonna head towards the third base to delay it a little bit. Yeah, regardless, any kind of aggression from this probe, it's gone. Oh, as it does get chased away. Meanwhile, back at home, we have an Adept first, not a Stalker. Again, nothing too crazy. It's what we expect to see. The Adept does provide some utility, not just defensively, but offensively. It can go across the map. It can get some worker damage. Not just that, but it can also dance between the bases and scout for any kind of weird all-in if the droning is stopping. Meanwhile, the Slowlings actually avoid the Adept, which is honestly pretty impressive. They get all the way past. There is one Adept at home defensively, but the Lings are going to be able to slip on in. And yo, can you get a probe? Up. Almost, not quite. At least he gets into the main base, confirms the Stargate once again. It's something that we've been seeing every game. It's pretty standard. Pretty stock standard nowadays. Meanwhile, forces a little bit of lost mining time, but only for a second or two. Not the biggest of deals. Pacomike cleans everything up, and we do have another Void Ray. Oh, I think he's had it. He's had enough of those oracles. He's doesn't believe in them. Not anymore. Not anymore. Too risky, puppy. Too risky. As he does meet up with his second Adept, and now we have that one-shot potential. I'm always afraid of two Adepts. They're terrifying creatures. We do have a couple of Lings to try and meet up with those shades, so again, Pacomike, he's gonna have to think twice about committing to any kind of shade into the natural. Oh my god. But he commits anyway. He gets fully surrounded. We'll be able to target a couple of workers, but losing 2 Adepts for 3 drones, was that really worth it? For Pacomike, I wouldn't say so. You could argue at least he's scattered, I guess, but yeah, now RyoGin has the map control. He can go across the map, he can do whatever he wants with these Lings. He can delay the third base if it ever gets thrown down, and he can even threaten the natural. There's no shield battery behind this, so the Adept is going to be going down here. Oh, it looks like it just barely won't survive. And now the Lings, they have free reign. The Void Ray is across the map. It's not at home. Uh-oh. Okay, we do have a warp in back at home here. 2 Adepts do come in, but oh my god, all the shields were taken out here from this cyber core. Forces a third pylon. The Sim City here looking a little bit awkward. And Pacomike doing what he does best. Going straight to a second Stargate and a fleet beacon. Disgusting. Pacomike has been a Skytoss connoisseur even before the Void Ray buff. Now with the Void Ray nerf, he keeps doing it anyway. We do have a couple of Void Rays on the way to just defend and to just establish this third base here of Pacomike. And from here, he's got options. He can go into carriers or go into Flux Veins. Meanwhile, some nice Ling harass here. The third Adept is going to go down. Does delay the third base by a little bit. And this is going to force the Void Rays to come out and establish said third. Is this too much of a tell? A little bit, because there was one Void Ray across the map. Ooh. 3 Overlord kills, not what you want to be seeing, but 2 Void Rays is a little bit suspicious. The third Void Ray doesn't get spotted actually, so RyoGin is a little bit in the dark. He should be making non-stop queens though, and he is working on double Evo chambers. Ooh. Interesting. Oh my god, he's gonna go for a Hydra timing. Okay, so the 3 Void Rays have been revealed. This is a tell. This should be enough to let him know that at least, you know, we have a commitment into Skytoss. He hasn't seen that +1 air attack or ship weapons is being upgraded, but, you know, he will soon. And these queens, can they save it? No, they can't. The Evo chamber goes down. Oh, honestly, a very nice pick off there by Pacomike. Unfortunately, the Evo chambers were looking a little bit too exposed, and Pacomike just dove on the opportunity, and now that Void Ray count is getting a little bit out of control. 6 Void Rays on the map right now, and carriers are on the way. Oh boy. Meanwhile, when it comes to what RyoGin's doing, I still love it. Like, hitting with +1 or even hitting with +2 and your Hydra upgrades can do so much if they hit before splash damage. Like, I do this myself. Like, it can be a really strong timing, but if it doesn't do enough damage, if it doesn't at least kill the third base, you are so far behind. All right, here we go. Void Rays are going to dive into the main base. Yo, spores haven't been repositioned. RyoGin, not like this. The other queens are going to go down, the Hydras as well. We may not even get to that timing attack, by the way, because these Void Rays are getting out of control. We are going to be seeing some transfuses. No, the queen is off creeping. Can't transfuse. The queen goes down. 2, 3, 4 queens at the same time. A Ling run by here at the third base. At least RyoGin is doing some counter damage. He needs to do this. Ay, ay, ay. He forces the Void Rays back home a little bit here. A lot of them have taken a lot of damage. Fourth base is now under threat. Can RyoGin keep this alive? At the same time, Lings are getting a lot of damage done on this Nexi. And yo, RyoGin, he's going. He's hitting with +1. His upgrades are finishing up here. Looking at them, we do have Hydra range, not Hydra speed though. Oh god, oh god, oh god, the Lings, no. Are these Hydras going to be enough though? The problem is that because of all those queens going down, we don't have as many injects as we would like. We do see that here we're missing an inject in the natural base as well. But it may be enough anyway? I don't know, mate. 2 carriers with boys, with 2 more Void Rays. Yeah, there are not enough Hydras. Not yet. But with the reinforcements, RyoGin has to break this. Oh, the interceptors are starting to run out. The Hydra count is getting higher and higher. The base goes down. And just like that, no overcharge, no shield batteries available here. Meanwhile, he waits out the overcharge. Sorry, the Flux Veins. Flux Veins? What? The Void Ray? And this is okay. I was talking about it. We needed to at least kill the third base. Now Pacomike gets knocked down to 2 base economy. He is working on more carriers, which is scary. But now RyoGin has the opportunity to get the 4th base up and running and to get a Spire. I'm worried though. We need either a Spire or an Infestation Pit, one or the other. We need something other than pure Hydra. Infestation Pit can lead us to either Infestors for Blinding Clouds, Microbial Shrouds, or it can go all the way into Hive for Vipers. Otherwise, we need a Spire for Corruptors. And there we go. We are going straight to that Infestation Pit. We are going for one of those Spellcasters. Meanwhile, here we go. We are going into a second wave, and once again, I don't know if there's enough really to protect the carriers. He tries to dive on top of them, but the charge lots are here. This is not the fight to take RyoGin. He loses half of his Hydras. And this, I think, is too much damage. Even though it looks like he's pushing this back, I think it was worth it for Pacomike. That was a very costly gas fight. I'm afraid to look, but looking at the units lost, look at the gas loss. Double the gas loss here for the Zerg player. RyoGin, that was not the fight to take. He needed to conserve and bank up that Hydra count. But losing half of his Hydras like that means that he just can't push out anymore. Not until he has Vipers. And even then, we have Storm. We have High Templar. This is why ideally you want to transition out of Hydras into Corruptors after you kill the third base. Because Storm just nullifies this so much. Not just Storm, but also feedbacks for those Vipers as well. It's not impossible, it's just harder to accomplish as the Zerg player, going for this kind of composition. At least he's going for a 5th base, you know, taking the gold, going to be able to really boost his economy. He's working on a Lurker Den as well, so Hydra Lurker Viper is the name of the game here for RyoGin. Can he make this work? We'll see. Oh boy. Spire is on the way. Okay, so he recognizes what he needs to get into. It's all about how he can spend his gas, because all of this is very gas intensive. I would almost argue that this gold base, yeah, the gases are more important than the minerals. Like, I love this. Immediately he takes the gases. He knows how much he needs it. Especially because when you're going into a Spire, you need upgrades as well. You need to get into +1. You need to get into +1 carapace specifically against all these carriers. 4 Vipers are on the way. We're out of gas already. And now we're in a little bit of a lull here. Obviously, RyoGin has to refine his army a little bit more, and it's going to take a while for that to happen. Unfortunately, because of that, Pacomike is given so much time to not just establish his 3rd, but recover his carrier count, get Storm, get a 4th base up and running. Like, this is a scary moment here. RyoGin could be active with this army and try and deny the 3rd, but the longer this goes on, the harder it is to actually do that. Meanwhile, Zealot run by being set up on the left-hand side. It does get kind of intercepted by these Hydras. Kind of. They actually don't. They barely miss it. Oh my god. This is unfortunate. The main army is pushing through the center of the map. At the same time, the run-by is going to hit that third base. Can RyoGin defend at multiple places at once? The army is being scouted. RyoGin has to rotate around. Gets pulled away. The Zelds do hit the third. This is going to make an opening here for Pacomike. He's going to go in. He wants to hit the base. Feedbacks do connect. Storms as well. Hydras are not long for this world. And Pacomike is just going to delete this fourth base. Third even. Now, that was the last storm. Bear that in mind. All the High Templar are gone. We have an Archon instead. So now this army is looking a little bit more vulnerable to all these Hydras. Nice joint, but we have the recall. Pacomike, he only loses 1 carrier and 2 High Templar. Well worth it for him here in the end. What's important though is that he didn't get a lot of worker kills. He got 4 drones and that's it. RyoGin can resaturate this gold base instead. Meanwhile, he's counterattacking a questionable move. He doesn't have a lot of energy on these Vipers. Gets feedback, but does have 1 Viper remaining. Will get a single yoink off. At the same time, though, Zealot run-by does hit his base. No, we're remaking Vipers, not units on the ground. Zealots completely eviscerate this mineral line. At the same time, the carriers break on forward. They may not have detection, but they have more than enough to deal with these Hydras. And unfortunately, where are the Corruptors? We should be remaxing on Corruptors, not Hydras right now. We have another wave of Hydras on the way. I guess, to be fair, if there are no High Templar and no Storm, Hydras can still work, but actually he wants to try and hit the third base instead. We'll see if this works. A couple more High Templar morphing in. Cannons are gonna put this. Oh no! Cannons are gonna force this back. Viper does get sniped. Oh, the High Templar! Yo, the target fire is insane. All 4 High Templar go down. 0 Storms available for the Protoss player. And the third base gets focused down. Here we go. RyoGin at the same time. The Lurkers, there was no detection. They actually got a kill on the 4th base as well. Pacomike once again knocked down to 2 bases. But RyoGin has to make some Corruptors, please. He's being so risky just sticking on Hydras like this. I want to say he's a little bit lucky that there weren't any of those High Templar remaining. Meanwhile, a little bit ambitious with these Lurkers. They are going to get sniped in the end. You know, they're on a mission. They're waddling all the way into the main. Oh my god, they actually got in. Yo, and the revelation runs out? Question mark? At the same time, the Hydra Viper is pushing on in. Oh, we have the feedbacks though. And again, there's just not enough Hydras here. Please, Puppy, just start making Corruptors. Just stop banking up Hydras. Stop it. Oh god. Look at this carrier count. Like, even without Storm, they can go toe-to-toe with a low enough Hydra count. And here we go. Corruptors are finally on the way. Can we do it, though? Do we have the economy? We lost a bunch of workers earlier, remember? And they were not remade, by the way. RyoGin lost 20 workers, and he's still stuck on 64. Because of that, like, his economy can't really sustain this. At least saturate the gases, but... it may just be too much. We'll see, we'll see. I mean, we have a lot of Vipers. Too many Vipers, maybe. I'm afraid to look, but here we go. 7 Vipers in total. It's a lot of Vipers. More Corruptors are on the way. Still no droning, unfortunately. So because of that, even though Pacomike has been losing bases, the economies are still relatively even. Oh, but the Yoinks come in. And in the end, he gets 1, 2 carriers. Not bad, not bad. Not bad at all. We see another Yoink. Oh my god. One shot. One opportunity. You have another storm. We have 2 more storms. 3 more storms available. RyoGin has to be so careful with how he engages. He has to be so methodical. Gets another Yoink, but this time he doesn't get a kill on the carrier. But this is good. Right now, he's buying time. He's pulling the army back home while he banks up Corruptors back at home. I love the army movement here by RyoGin. Is it going to be enough, though? We have a lot of Archons. The arch nemesis of corruptors. The gold base is under threat. Here we go. RyoGin going for the full surround. We see yoinks coming out, but the yoinks don't really do too much. We needed a power bomb instead. There we go. Power bombs are being thrown down, but the corruptors, are they going to be enough here? Oh, they all get taken out by those Archons. This is what I was worried about. There wasn't enough on the ground to really support them. We do have another kill on 2 more carriers. Only 3 carriers left. All things considered, RyoGin is trading well, but his most important mining base gets knocked out. GG gets called. He is out of money. And Pacomike takes the series 2-1. Oof, GG. That was so close, RyoGin, so close. I'm very impressed with how he played against Pacomike. Despite being the underdog in this series, he made Pacomike work for it. Just a couple of interesting decisions there. Staying on Hydras for as long as he did. He did a lot with them, to be fair. Like, I was very impressed with how he was sniping bases. Maybe that all could have been okay. But unfortunately, the fact that he was not re-droning and not rebuilding what he was losing was really crucial there. He just didn't have a good enough economy. Oh. And with that, GG. Congratulations to Pacomike. He moves on to the semifinals to face the Zerg Lord. But as you can see on the screen right now, we have another series ahead of us.